Okay. I need to figure this out so that it will be easier for me. Okay, time to lecture. Wow. Let's see. Maybe I can shrink that slightly. Okay, that works. Hello, people. Yeah, I will answer questions if anyone has questions on the homework. Otherwise, I will go straight into the lecture. I know some people will try to learn. Oh, it's Marsha. Good morning, Marsha. Or, yeah, I think you're in Indonesia. So, good morning. Okay, we're going to cover 12.3 today. And part of the homework is going to be work on factoring. So this section will actually be two-day section. Just because I don't want to overwhelm us. If we cover it in one day, we cover it in one day. If we don't, we cover it in 2. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we're going to start with the idea of factoring. And we have our polynomial that is written way too. It's not big enough, or clear enough. Okay. So we have our polynomial. Oh, Ezra, when is the test? Great question. 4, then 5, then 6, and 7. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just assuming it's going to take 2 weeks to get through. So, in 2 weeks. Okay, 12.3. So, we need to recall factor. If we're factoring this, we would go see what multiplies into 6, which is 3 and 2, and that adds up to be 5, so we get x plus 3 times x plus 2. Now we know this. So what would happen if we divided x squared plus 5x plus 6 divided by x plus 2? What would happen is it would be the same thing as dividing this fraction right here divided by x plus 2. If you notice, these two parentheses are the same. The whole thing is the same, so we can cancel them out. So what we'd end up with is x plus 3. So really dividing is just another way of factoring. You're using factoring to really divide properly. But it's not always going to be that clear cut. Okay? It's not always going to divide that easily, where you could just cancel out a full term. Okay? So, when we're going to learn today 3 things. Well, 3 major things. We're going to divide by a monomial. And the 2 things are we're going to divide by a binomial. Okay? And then we're just going to practice. So number 3 is just practice. Okay? So we're going to divide by a monomial, divide by a polynomial, and then we're going to practice. Okay? So dividing is not something we're unfamiliar with, just dividing itself, right? 6 divided by 3 is 2, 6, anyway, divided by 4 is 3 over 2. We get stuff like that. So, what if we were to divide a polynomial by a binomial? So this is in our book. We divided this whole thing by 2x. We divided this whole thing by 2x. Now, we can think of it two different methods. There's two different methods for this. There's method 1, which is write as a fraction, as a set of fractions. So this is method 1. Method 2, which honestly we're going to spend more time on, is long division. This is actually a method 3, but we're not going to cover method 3 because we aren't. It's Algebra 2 is method 3. Okay, so if we're dividing it, I'm going to write this at the top right here. So we have our 4x cubed plus 8x squared plus 10x, and division is just writing it as a fraction. Now if we were to write it as a set of different fractions, we would get 4x cubed over 2x plus 8x squared over 2x plus 10x over 2x. Now you would simplify this by canceling. So 4x squared, the 2 and the 4 cancel, and the x and the x cubed cancel, so we get 2x squared, and this becomes 8 and 2 become 4. 8x squared divided by x is just x, so plus 4x, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. X divided by x cancels out, so we get 5. So our answer is 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. Okay? Now we're going to check this with long division. Oh, is it loading? No, I don't think it's loading. It's just excellent connection. I've opened. Let me know if it's loading. I can't tell because I'm going to keep teaching. You have to show all the work. This is the work that we have to show right here. Long division. 4x cubed plus 8x squared plus 10x. So what we do in long division is we first see, okay, how many times what's 4x cubed divided by 2x? 4 divided by 2 is 2. X cubed divided by x is x squared. Okay, then we do this. 8 divided by 2 is 4. X squared divided by x is just x. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And x divided by x is just 1. So we get 5. Now, how do we check this? Oh, it's not loading. Well, it says excellent connection. Huh. Oh, it's not loading. That's confusing. You know. Never mind. Never mind. Don't ask me how my brain just tried to understand that. Okay. Now we need to check. So what's 2x times 2x squared plus 4x plus 5? Okay. If this is correct, we could multiply it and it will go back. Yeah, yeah. Ezra, I just worked out what you meant. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x squared is x cubed. 2 times 4 is 8. X times x is x squared. 5 times 2 is 10. X times 1 is just x. Or you could say 5 times 2x is 10x. So this is true. This is our original. So then our answer is this right here. So with binomial, you just divide with monomial, you just divide each term by our start. Okay? We divide each term by our start. Okay? Let's try one out. Okay, actually let's try 2 out. So yeah. And then if you want to check your work, you just multiply the solution with your original monomial. Okay, so 6x cubed plus 3x squared minus 12x, and all this divided by 3x. Okay, so we're going to divide by 3x, and we'll try 2. 12y to the 4 minus 16y to the 3 plus 20y squared. I'm going to divide all of this divided by 4y, not 4x, 4y. Okay, so work these out. Let me know what your solutions are, and let's give you 30 seconds, okay? Give you 30 seconds. I do not know where to put my stuff. Oh yeah, I do. Okay. I'll be back in less than 30 seconds, probably like 20 minutes. Okay. Oh. This will be a very, this is going to be a short lesson. My goal is to make it less than 45 minutes, okay? Short lesson. Hi, John. I'm glad you're joining. Yeah, definitely. Because see that. See what? I'm so confused. What type of? Not letting. Okay. Okay. You should have gotten the first one. So the first one, we just divide each term by 3x. So 6x cubed divided by 3x is going to be 2x squared. Sorry, I am going to talk louder because there's rain now. And then 3x squared divided by 3x is going to be plus x. And then negative 12x divided by 3x is going to be negative 4. 12y to the 4 divided by 4y is 3y cubed. 16 divided by 4 is 4, but it's a negative. Y cubed divided by y is y squared. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. Y squared divided by y is y. Yeah, we can review 12.2 later. Yes. Okay, so checking this. So what I do to check is I multiply this, our solution, our answer, by our original. So 2x squared times 3x is 6x cubed. That's correct. X times 3x is 3x squared. That's correct. Negative 4 times 3x is negative 12x. And that's correct. And then this one's also going to be the same way. If we multiply our solution times the original divisor. Okay? Okay. Dividing by a binomial. Dividing by a binomial will be long division, okay? Divided by a binomial, we are going to do long division. Okay, the book goes into detail. There are definitely Khan Academy videos about this. The reason why I'm saying that is because I guarantee you it is what the process that some grasp quickly and some don't. So we just want to make sure, I just want to make sure all of us understand how to do it. and can do this long division. Okay? So we're going to have a polynomial, and we're going to divide it by a binomial. Binomial meaning two monomials, so x minus 1. Each of these is monomial. Okay, so we're going to divide it. Now the way we divide it is going to have to be long division. And what I mean by that is it's going to have this beautiful box overhead, and we're going to write our divisor right here. Okay. Let me just make it straight so it's not, okay. Okay, the way you have to divide this is you have to look at this, that, the first part and the first part here. So how many times does x go into x squared? Well, it goes into it x, right? We have to multiply this times x to equal x squared. So we put that right here. The reason why we put that there is because we actually need to get these two into two things here. The next 20-30 minutes, John? Okay. How long is the rain going to last? The rain's going to last 20 to 30 minutes. I'm just kidding. I don't know how long the rain is going to last. Okay. So then we see how much this goes into this, and then we multiply this times these two, both of them. So x times x is x squared. We write that there. X times negative 1 is negative x. Now, we're going to subtract this from above. So x squared minus x squared is 0. 2x plus x is 3x. And then, step 4, we'll drop this down. So this becomes minus 3. Now, the 0 goes away. How many times does x go into 3x? How many times does x go into 3x? Well, it goes in 3 times. So we're going to plus a 3 right here. 3 times this. 3 times this. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Now we're going to subtract it again. Okay? Subtract. 3x minus 3x, 0. Negative 3 minus negative 3 is 0. Okay? So we just divided, and there's no remainder. No remainder. Remainder of 0. Okay? Remainder of 0. So our solution is x plus 3. Now if you're not sure if this is your solution, if you're not sure if this is your solution, multiply it times the start. Okay, John, I will explain this again, okay? So, gotta walk through the steps slowly. We'll talk about our conclusion again. Okay, let's take a different question. Let's take okay, let's do not that one. Not that one. Hold on. I need a problem that doesn't have a remainder. Okay. That works. So 7w squared plus 3w minus 4. And this is all going to be divided by w plus 1. Okay? It's all going to be divided by w plus 1. So what we do, we write this as long division. Okay? I'm going to teach you the steps. So there are steps to this, people. W plus 1. Okay. Step 1. We look at our first thing, and we see how many times does it go into this. So we think. Our first step is think. What is 7w squared divided by w? What's 7w squared divided by w? Well, that is 7w, right? Okay, we write that to the top. The next step is we multiply that number, whatever number this is, multiply times the w plus 1. So we're going to do this, 7w times 7w plus 1. So 7w times w is 7w squared. We write that right under the same power, okay? We want it to write under the same power. So 7w squared, okay, what's 7w times 1? Well, that's plus 7w, okay? Okay, so we got 7w squared plus 7w. Okay, the next step is now we subtract. Okay, we subtract. Okay, subtract whatever's here from what's above it. Okay, so what's 7w minus 7w? Sorry, what's 7w squared minus 7w squared? That's 0. Okay, so this is 0 right here. What's 3w minus 7w? Well, that's going to be minus 4w. Okay. Now the last step is we drop. We're going to bring down the next term. So step 1, step 2, step 3, and we'll put step 4 here. Step 4. Bring down the next term. Okay, so we're bringing down the negative 4. Now again, we restart with this first step. So step 1, we think negative 4w. So now we think negative 4w divided by w. What's that become? Negative 4w divided by w. Well, that is negative 4. Okay, so we write that number at the top. Okay. Okay, it's buffer notation. Yeah, might calm down. Okay, so we think negative 4w divided by w. We write that number at the top. Then, after step 1, step 2 is multiply. We're going to multiply our answer, whatever our answer is, we're going to multiply times w plus 1. So we're going to multiply with w plus 1. So, our answer was negative 4. So we're going to do negative 4 times w plus 1. What's negative 4 times w plus 1? Well, that's minus 4w minus 4, right? And after we've written that below, what's our step 3? Subtract. Subtract. So we're going to subtract. Sorry, this should say subtract. Okay, we're going to subtract. So subtract this from above, we get 0 and 0. So we know that 7w squared plus 3w minus 4 divided by w plus 1 is equal to 7w minus 4. That is our answer right there. Okay? Okay, now is the time to ask any questions. So we're going to go through this step by step one more time. And if you have any questions on my steps, write it as we go, okay? So, I'm going to write the steps, okay? Now the steps are crucial, okay? Steps are the part. You subtract it from what's right above it. So whatever is right above it, that's what you subtract from. It's not from itself necessarily. That's so Let's do one more. Okay. We get 3x squared minus x minus 10. We're going to divide that by x minus 2. Okay. Now, this isn't technically in the book as a problem, but, well, it's written differently. But I just want to show you how to do this step by step. Okay. So, first step, we're going to write this as long division. Let me rewrite this at the top a little bit higher, okay, so I don't have to write so low on my board. So, we're still in, okay, we're still in. So let's do this. 3x squared minus x minus 10, and divide that all by x minus 2. Okay, so we write this as long division. 3x squared minus x minus 10. We're going to divide this by x minus 2. Okay, first step, we think. What is 3x squared divided by x? So we always look at our first two terms. Well, that's 3x. We write that. You write that right above the same. Do you see how that's x above x? Just we like to write the same power right above each other. Okay? Then we multiply. What do we multiply? We multiply 3x times x minus 2. What's 3x times x minus 2? That is 3x squared minus 6x. Then we subtract it. Then subtract. We subtract it from above. So 3x squared minus 3x is 0. Negative x minus negative 6x is actually negative x plus 6x. So this is 5x. So we get plus 5x. Then we drop down the next term. So 1, 2, 3, and now the last step, drop the next term. So we get minus 10. So I drop down the next term. Okay, again, we think 5x and x. How much does x go into 5x? Well, we get plus 5. Okay, so we do 5x divided by x. Step 1, step 2. 5 times x minus 2, which gives us 5x minus 10. Then 3, we subtract it. Okay, so what's 5x minus 5x? It's going to be 0. And negative 10 minus negative 10 is negative 10 plus 10. So we get plus 0. So we get 0. Okay, that's that whole thing. It's just 0. So our answer is this right here. Now you could rewrite it. You could rewrite it at the beginning. 3x plus 5. Again, guys, this is without a remainder, okay? These beginning questions are without a remainder. What happens when we have a remainder, okay? So, I'm going to give you one practice problem, and then you'll write the answer or ask questions, and then we'll work on ones with remainder, okay? I really want to make sure we get how to do this division, the steps, so we think about the first divided by our first term. So first divided by first. Then we multiply whatever that answer is times our first, this equation, this expression right here. Then we subtract and we drop down. Okay? Okay. Our question is, 2m squared minus 5m minus 12. That whole thing divided by, should be a 2, sorry. Okay, 2m squared divided by 2m plus 3. 2m plus 3. Now it's not the same exact thing, but it is going to not have a remainder, okay? So it should not have a remainder. So if you do the math right, it shouldn't have a remainder. Okay, let me know if you have a question as you work. Remember the 4 steps. Step 1, think first divided by first. Step 2, multiply. Step 3 is subtract. And step 4 okay? If you have a question, please let me know. I will play a very short song. Yes. I will leave it up just briefly after. Well, I think you can read live chat afterwards, but if you can't, I'll figure out what to do. Oh, I could create a highlight video. I don't know if that would be useful. I don't think there's anything to highlight. Oh, it's only up while you, so it comes up when you're watching it. Okay. Not always. Okay. I mean, everyone left as soon as I gave you guys time to work on this problem. You guys assume that's the last question. There's just 15 more minutes. So obviously we will have a few more questions. I am going to break this section into 2 parts because, well, there's 2 questions left in this section that I don't think we are adequately prepared for. And then, yeah. Okay. What did people get? What are people getting? Okay. We write it as long division. I'm not going to solve it yet. I'm just writing it as long division. Okay. Give you a second longer. 1 second. Boom. Okay, time to start. So we think first part, first term divided by first term. 2m squared. 2m squared divided by 2m. What is that? That is m. Lovely. We multiply m times 2m plus 3. What do we get? We get 2m squared plus 3m. Next step, we subtract. Step 3, subtract. Subtract 2m squared minus 2m. You get nothing. Negative 5m minus 3m is negative 8m. Next step, step 4, we drop down our next term. And we repeat. So what's our first term? Negative 8m. divided by 2m, you get -4. I'll write that at the top. -4 times 2m plus 3, you get -8m minus 12. Next step, subtract. We subtract it, we get 0 and 0, which is always just 0. Doesn't look like my stream's buffering. Yeah. Okay, so what do we get as our solution? Our solution is m minus 4. That is your solution, okay? Okay, last question. Last question, 11 minutes for the last question. Yeah, pretty good time. Okay, now not all our questions will be like that, where there's no remainder. Some of them will have a remainder. So 2x squared plus 11x minus 9. Can divide that by 2x minus 3. Okay. Okay, first thing, we look at the first term. In first term, 2x squared divided by 2x. We get x. We multiply x times 2x minus 3. We get 2x squared. X times -3, -3x. Our step 3 is subtract. So this becomes 0. This becomes 14x. 11x minus a negative is positive, so 11 plus 3. Then step 4, we drop down -9. So again, we look at our first term. In our first term, 2x goes into 14x plus 7 times. 7 times 2x is 14x, that's right. 7 times 3 is -21. We're going to subtract. We get 14x minus 14x, 0. -9 plus 21 is 12. Okay, we get 12. Now 12 is a remainder. What do we do with our remainder? Well, our remainder is going to mean our solution is x plus 7. Then you put your remainder over what you divided by, x minus 3. So you put your remainder over what you divided by. So what we divided by was 2x minus 3. Okay, then this be our solution. So what we put on top, that's what we put by itself. Then our remainder goes over the 2x minus 3. Okay, let's look at some other ones that will have remainders. Sound good? Yes, of course it sounds good. David, all our questions are going to have remainders because that's the easiest way we can remain. Never mind. I'm going to stop myself. Sometimes you just have to learn a little bit of self-control. Okay. A plus 1. Okay. How long will the homework be? The homework won't be that long for this one. So there's gonna be some two factoring questions. Actually, sorry. 2 factoring, 2 monomial, and then 2 binomial. Okay? So 6 questions. Shouldn't be too long because we will have class on Thursday, and then that will be the rest of the section. Okay? Okay, dividing this, we get a squared divided by a is a. Multiply a times a plus 1 is a squared plus a. Subtract it. Get 0, we get 2a. Drop down our next term. We then look at the first term. A goes into 2A plus 2 times. 2 times A, 2A. 2 times 1 is plus 2. Subtract it. We get negative 4 minus 2, negative 6. That's our remainder. So what's that mean? Well, A plus 2 is by itself. Then we put the negative 6 over A plus 1. Now, if you're wondering, can I combine this? Absolutely. You can also do A plus 2. Sorry, A plus 2 minus 6 over A plus 1. Okay? This or this, both of them are equal. Either way. Okay? Any questions about that? Basically done. No, froze up. Maybe I lost most of my students. Or, yeah, I bet it's buffering. Okay. Well, I could record. Guys, I know what I'll do. I will record the next lesson, but in chat. So the stream won't be a live stream necessarily, but the chat will be live. So you can respond and ask questions, and I'll answer the questions. So that we won't have buffering. Okay, I don't want to have buffering. Okay, 45 minutes was my goal. I finished in 42 minutes, which means we have an extra 3 minutes to spare. Any other questions? Okay, I'll post the homework here in about an hour. Okay. Okay. Says 42. What's gold box conjecture? Okay, see you guys. I'm going to end the stream.